number one overreaction from Michigan football fans, media, national media, and anybody in between, even fans of rival teams. Coming out of Saturday's loss to USC seems to be Sherrone Moore isn't the guy. He is on the hot seat. That's going to be overreaction number one on today's Michigan Football Report Overreaction Monday. I've got 5 things, Jack. The graphics department only let me have 5 things to put on. I could probably had 20 overreactions. And I think we're going to kind of have overreaction Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week as Michigan faces Washington coming up on Saturday. But I want to know from you guys, what is your one-word reaction to Michigan's loss Saturday night against USC? You know, I want to say something like disgusting. I want to say something like awful. But the word I am coming up with that has been resonating in my head for the last, 43 hours since this game finished Saturday night is unprepared. Michigan looked unprepared on offense, unprepared on defense, unprepared on special teams, and they got blown out. 18-point loss. Could have been 25, could have been 28. USC with 2 turnovers down inside the red zone, so those could have been 2 more scores, potentially 2 more touchdowns. But could Michigan end up winning this game? The LA Times reporter put this out earlier today. Now been confirmed by the school. USC used an ineligible running back on Saturday night. And not only that, Jack, this running back they used, Brian Jackson, he scored a touchdown. And he was ineligible. They put on the injury report that he would not play, was out for the game. He was in there. Now, their head coach, Lincoln Riley, is saying, we were in communications with the Big Ten. We were in communications with the rep. I didn't hear anything about being in communications with Michigan. I think they should have to forfeit the game. I'm not sure if Michigan should get the win. USC should not get the win using an ineligible player. Maybe you just call it a no decision, so Michigan goes to 4-1 instead of 4-2. But let's get back to Sherrone Moore. Your head football coach is now 1-4 on the road as Michigan's head coach. That only win, Jack, is against Ohio State, surprisingly enough. He has a 7-6 record against Power 4 schools. One of those wins against Alabama in the bowl game, so a 6-6 regular season record against teams in Power 4 conferences. That includes USC. That, of course, includes Texas and Oklahoma out-of-conference games that he has lost. And Michigan is has started the season 4-2, now not ranked again for the second straight season. He's been head coach for 19 games, but suspended for 2 of them. So he's only been head coach for 17 games at Michigan and has a 10-7 record as your head coach. So is Sherrone Moore on the hot seat? I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure. Certainly, Ward Manuel seemed to be, tied at the hip in some ways with Sherrone Moore. Didn't put up enough of an effort to keep Jim Harbaugh, if he was even possible, and kind of named Sherrone Moore the head coach after like a 3 or 4 day coaching search. Didn't seem to be much of one whatsoever. You've got a lot of problems on this team right now, right? You've got an offensive line that can't seem to block anybody. You've got an offensive line that continues to seemingly get worse in year 2 under Moore, despite that being his area of competency. The most impactful area that he contributed to the Jim Harbaugh era was the resurgence of the offensive line. You've also got a very poor wide receiver group that's emerging, but has been as poor over those 19 games outside of 1 or 2 games. You now have a defense that can't tackle, that can't stop anybody. On 3rd and 26, Jack, I'm not sure if you saw this one, 3rd and 26 in the second half, USC does a little draw play, runs it for 49 yards, and Sherrone Moore could be out there on the hot seat. Now, we have candidates out there. Everyone would say Curt Cignetti if Sherrone Moore wasn't head coach. Some people said John Harbaugh. Others have said Jay Harbaugh, right? He's got 2 years experience now away from his dad in the NFL, working with a merging and fun to watch Seahawks team. Maybe it could be Jay Harbaugh, still a young guy, like 37, 38 years old. I don't know about any of those if they would get the role, but somebody I do think would get the first or second or third call, or maybe the most likely call, is the head coach at Washington. And who does Michigan play? That's Jedd Fisch. Who does Michigan play this weekend? And of course, that is Washington. Fisch, was with Michigan for a couple of years. I believe he went back to the NFL. I can't remember what he did exactly right after Michigan. Was head coach at Arizona, then is now head coach for his second year at Washington. And they are a team that look like they've got competent wide receivers, competent running backs, competent quarterback, and they were in a similar situation as a year ago as Michigan was, right? Him and Sherrone Moore took over the teams that went to the national championship game. I think you could arguably say with a lot less resources, a lot less fan base, a lot less money, that Jedd Fisch has put Washington in a better spot than they were when he took it over in January of 2024 than Michigan is right now, same timeline as Sherrone. Josh Pate, formerly of CBS Sports, now is doing his own thing, I guess, as independent, put this quote out towards the end of his Sunday night 2-hour show that has been making the rounds on social media. He says, there are some people on the Michigan program that would look at 9-3 and certainly would look at 8-4 and say, we're making a change. And I'm telling you, if that happens, not to be too surprised. So that is an interesting quote. I will give Pate a lot of credit. He seems to be wired in. He's kind of one of the few guys out there from a national perspective who gets to travel around, go to a bunch of games, and doesn't have the responsibilities of also doing a TV broadcast or doing a 3 or 4 hour morning live show like ESPN's Game Day, College Game Day, or the Fox guys, or Big Ten Network. If you're a beat reporter like Sloppy Sam or something like that, you might get to talk to Sherrone Moore twice a year, one-on-one, right? But other than that, it's press conferences. Pate seems to have the end of traveling around all spring, traveling around all fall. He does his Ball Don't Lie, Fall Don't Lie tour. He's going to 14 or so games each fall. He's spending a couple hours on Thursday or Friday with the head coaches. He seems to think that Sherrone Moore would not make it, or possibly wouldn't make it, if they lose another game, then lose to Ohio State. Now, what saved the season last year, of course, it was that big 50-plus scoring points against Northwestern, beating Ohio State again, going out and beating Alabama. You turn what could have been a 500 or worse season into an 8-5 season. But if you go into the Ohio State game with 3 losses, if you lose that game, which they won't, of course they won't, you're looking at 4 losses, bowl game 5. That's just a bad setup for 2 years in this era where Michigan is spending to win, got you the quarterback you needed, got you 2 interior defensive linemen, got you other players, and it still might not be enough to win any game of substance outside of last year's Ohio State game, in a bowl game that, frankly, no one actually thought that Michigan was going to win. So it's something that people are talking about. We will continue to monitor. I've got some more stats we'll talk about later in this week that'll kind of blow your mind about the poor performances of Sherrone Moore. Overreaction number 2, I've seen this a ton, not necessarily from media, but fans all over the internet, all over the Twitter sphere, is Michigan is better with Biff. Michigan is better with Biff Poggi as their head coach, interim head coach for 2 games, Sherrone for 4 games. We'll continue on that, but I'm going to ask you guys, you are 17 games into the Sherrone Moore coaching experience, 19 overall. He was spent for 2. Give me a grade. 1.5 seasons as his head coach, as Michigan's head coach. All things encompassing, right? Got to include getting Bryce Underwood, getting Justice Haynes from the transfer portal, beating Ohio State, beating Alabama. You've got to include all those things. Given that, I'm going to give him a C+ at this point. Now, if they lose this game against Washington, they will drop quickly to a C- or a D+. But as things stand, their goals are still all ahead of him, right? You win out, you go to the playoff, et cetera, et cetera. I'm giving him a, C+, right? C+ as the grade. Go down and comment. I need a grade from every single person watching the show. I got to get kind of the This is a normal fan base, people. People on the internet, Jack, on websites and message boards, on Twitter, they're crazy. This is a well-reasoning, well-thinking audience. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. A, B, C, D, or F. Pluses and minuses are fine. Let's talk about Biff Poggi, Sherrone Moore, the difference in their coaching philosophies. Now, Sherrone is not nearly as good of an interview as Biff, right? Biff gave them great quotes, right, about eating chocolate with his wife and gave Underwood the nickname Batman. He just had quotes after quotes after quotes after quotes, telling Nick Saban all the funny things when he did game day. But one thing I have noticed in 4 games of Sherrone this year, 2 with Biff, is Sherrone Moore, despite what he says at press conferences, refuses to run Bryce Underwood. Now, I could go back and look at the tape, and I haven't jotted down every single play chart from the game, but from watching the game on Saturday, rewatching it in Big Ten and 60 on Sunday, I can only remember off the top of my head, without charting this play for play, 1 called offensive run for Sherrone Moore, for Bryce Underwood, with Sherrone Moore as the head coach on Saturday against USC. And that's just not cutting it. This offense overall is just not cutting it. They seem to be trying to have the 2022 and 2023 offense and defense, frankly, but they don't necessarily have the offensive line. They don't have J.J. McCarthy. They don't have Roman Wilson. They don't have Blake Corum, although Justice Haynes is in there and he's good. He doesn't seem, Michigan doesn't seem to be the same exact offense that they had with Corum as they do now with Haynes and with Underwood, and they're still running that same type of offense where you're just trying to get to halftime in a tie game and then, tighten around there. Would Klatt say it was like a boa constrictor, and run the ball, score at the end of the third quarter, score in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, you shut them down. We talked about for the last couple of years, Jack, how good Michigan was in the past few years, the 2022 season, 2023 season, with Jim Harbaugh, Sherrone Moore, Jesse Minter. I think it was just Jesse Minter's defense. One of the best second half teams in college football history for that 2-year stretch. That's not happening anymore with Biff Poggi. With Wink Martindale. And I think we're going to have to see how things shake out. I've got a couple stats I want to show you in a moment on Michigan with Sherrone Moore and with Biff Poggi on offense as head coach. But first, got to remind you guys that this awesome bad boy now, I just got it, Jack. It showed up at my house on Saturday. I tried it on. Fits like a breeze. I'm not a quarter zip guy. I bought this one because it's on sale. Such a big sale. Almost, what's that? That's 33 or something percent off. Was 90, now 60. Go to chatsports.com/MishQZip. The link is going to be in the second paragraph of today's description and in the comments. $30 off for this bad boy. I'll wear it on Wednesday and Thursday. My wife said not doing laundry today. I'll do it tomorrow, so hopefully I can have it here to put on a show on Wednesday. Saw this one today, though. Excited about this one. Going to order this one as well, probably tonight. This bad boy, Michigan football Jordan Brand basketball shirt, right? You see the Go and Go Blue, little Michigan basketball. Excuse me, I'm a little choking there. $45 on sale right now. All sizes still available. $19. Chatsports.com/MishBball. Link is in the comment. Screenshot it if you want right now. Chatsports.com/MishBball. This thing's only $19, normally $45. Awesome. I'm going to buy that one as well. I'll probably try and wear it on a show next week. Getting ready for that top 10 ranked Michigan basketball season. Let's keep rolling here on the Michigan Football Report. Is this team better with or without Sherrone Moore? And I joked a couple weeks ago. I said, could Michigan, a lot of teams have a quarterback controversy, right? Could Michigan be the first college football team to have a head coaching controversy? And I don't know what you guys think about this. I understand that Sherrone was the head coach against USC and Oklahoma on the road. I get that. But Biff was the head coach against Nebraska on the road and had Central Michigan. Sherrone had one kind of, I guess I would call Wisconsin, frankly, as bad as most MAC teams at this point. And he had New Mexico as well. So 4 games of Sherrone, right? Left side, Michigan averaging 25.5 points a game, 46.5 points with Biff, right? 505 yards a game per Biff, 375 for Sherrone. Now, they passed the ball better with Sherrone, which is actually surprising, but only had 109 or so against Nebraska. Didn't need it. Here's the big difference. Running the ball with Biff Poggi, 335 yards per game to 157.8 for Sherrone. And how about that? Now, this last stat is not per game. That's cumulative, right? In the 4 games Bryce Underwood has played with Sherrone Moore as his head coach, he's got like -4, -6, -4, plus 12. So it's all in 2 rushing yards where he's got 175. It's like 111 and 64 in the 2 games where Biff Poggi was his head coach. If you're not going to run Bryce Underwood, you are lying to all of your players. You are lying to the media. You are lying to your fans, Sherrone Moore, because you said coming back out of your suspension that what you saw when Biff was the coach, when him and Chip Lindsey let Bryce run kind of wild, right? 175 in 2 games against Nebraska, against Central Michigan, that you would do the same, and you're not going to put any shackles on him. You're not going to kind of inch him along as a true freshman. You haven't done it. You haven't done it at all. Nothing in the past 2 games since you've come back. And frankly, Michigan has not developed a passing game, a passing attack from the pocket whatsoever. All the passes outside of the 1 touchdown to the guy we're going to talk about here in a moment, to Andrew Marsh, all the passes that Bryce Underwood completed on Saturday seemed to be ones where he had to roll out and kind of throw a sidearm pass, in between some defenders, or a screen pass to somebody like that. Not developing a pocket passing game through 6 games. I don't know what to tell you. I thought they saw it in a little bit better in the games where Sherrone Moore was out than the ones you've seen him in the game. I'm not sure how to quantify it, but nevertheless, some good news is that Michigan may have gotten their number 1 wide receiver, may have gotten the wide receiver this program has been waiting for frankly more than a decade. I mean, you got to think back to 2014 with Devin Funchess moving from tight end to wide receiver until Michigan's had like a truly top 5 wide receiver in the Big Ten, top 10 wide receiver in the country. Not saying he's there yet, but you see the potential of Andrew Marsh. People saying, hey, he's the number 1 wide receiver. I don't necessarily think that is the case yet, but you could see with his development 2 starts, which will show you those stats here in a second. It's exciting that you actually have 2 guys in Donovan McCulley and Andrew Marsh that have stepped up and show they are competent in catching the ball downfield. We'll talk about number 3 here in a second, but this company, Chat Sports, Jack, there was a production meeting this morning, and we're rolling out new channels, right? We're rolling out new shows soon, some NFL, college football. They put it on me. It's time with this Penn State coaching search, with all the upheaval. We're launching a Penn State channel. I said, no, I can't do it. Launch another channel. I don't want Penn State to have their own channel. They don't deserve it right now. They don't deserve it losing 3 games. It was outvoted, so we made a deal. Get 25 subscribers on today's video, James. 25 subscribers for the Michigan Football Report, and they'll be pushed off to at least November, right? And then we'll do another challenge. If we can continue to add subscribers to this channel, we'll stomp out a potential Penn State football YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. So subscribe to the channel. If you love Michigan football, hit that sub button. I need 25 subscribers today. We'll check it on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll check the numbers. If you want to do it, set yourself a reminder, unsubscribe on Friday, okay? But I need 25 subscribers today. Penn State's going to get their own channel, and it'll be the bane of my existence. Andrew Marsh had 12 catches in his last 2 games. 2 starts, right? Maybe one of the few things that have gotten better under Sherrone Moore's return to this offense. But the reason he's doing it, outside of making plays, the reason he's showing what impact he can make is the numbers you see to the left there. 12 receptions, 13 targets, right? 4 catches last week, 8 catches this week, 4 targets last week, 9 targets this week, 8 of 9, 4 and 4 of last week. He gets the ball thrown to him. He catches the damn ball. Is averaging over 100 yards in his 2 starts. Clearly didn't have 100 in both starts. Had 80 in one. I think it was 138 in this one. Some say, hey, that was a junk time touchdown. It wasn't a junk time touchdown. That got Michigan back into what would have been 10-point game after they'd gone down by 17. Sherrone, unbelievably, I'm not sure why, it didn't make any sense, goes for 2 to try and cut it to 9, I guess. Seemed to, take the wind out of the sails of the entire Michigan offense when they did not get that 2-point conversion to cut it to 9. We talked about Jamar Broder, the fellow true freshman to Marsh, on the show last week on our one on-demand show here, one full video, and then also did a YouTube short on it. And I was fooled. I was what's the word? Bamboozled. I was hoodwinked, Jack, by the sources that gave me information, because what we thought might happen, I didn't think he was going to start, but I thought we'd see a lot of snaps. Maybe that was the plan, and as they got deeper in the game and had to pass more and were down 2 touchdowns on 1 touchdown, that they just said, okay, hey, we can't risk playing this guy. We'll save him for the Washington game. We'll save him for the Northwestern, the Michigan State game. But Jamar Broder only got 2 snaps against USC. It seemed to be a 3 wide receiver rotation of the usual Andrew Marsh, Donovan McCulley, and backwards James Morgan. He was playing Samaj Morgan at the wide receiver position. A bunch of snaps, as usual. Got no production in this game. I can't remember if he even got a catch or not. I'm going to look that up really quick as we go on to overreaction number 4 here. And it is Brandyn Hillman, Jack. Brandyn Hillman cannot, as I look up the box score. Oh, Samaj, of course. 1 catch for 7 yards. Of course he did. Not an advertiser, though. Dr. Pepper, you want to? I've never had Dr. Pepper before. Diet Dr. Pepper before a couple weeks, Jack. Pretty dang good, I'll tell you that. A lot of players in this defense can't tackle. And one of the maybe worst plays in the past 5 years of Michigan football was that 3rd and it was 26. I tweeted 3rd and 20 because that's the announcer initially said, but it had to be 3rd and 26 because they didn't factor in whatever happened the prior play. And USC goes for 49 yards rushing. Overall, not just on that play, but many others, you would see USC run the ball for 18 and 28 and 46 yards, 49 yards. And who will be the guy absolutely whiffing? It is Hit Stick Hillman, Brandyn Hillman, a 47 Pro Football Focus grade, okay? He cannot tackle. This is not the first game this happened, but every once a game or so, he makes such a resounding hit that you're like, oh, man, takes me back to 1997 NFL highlight films where it's just unbelievable hits after unbelievable hits. He's not making tackles. He didn't make any big hits this game. He whiffed on tackle after tackle. And if he's going to be a guy who can't tackle and is hit or miss, and he's going to get penalties by talking trash, I don't think he's someone that should get as many snaps as he has been getting. Give Brandyn Hillman less snaps. Zeke Berry's back in the lineup, right? You've got Rod Moore back in the lineup. There are plenty of players with TJ Metcalf, with others that have emerged that you do not need to give all these snaps on defense at the safety position to Brandyn Hillman. Who am I missing here? Mason Curtis, right? He's getting a bunch of snaps, only 24 snaps in the game for him against USC, while my guy here, where is he? Yeah, he didn't have, oh, there he goes. Brandyn Hillman, I just saw him. Where is he at? Well, he had plenty of snaps, but certainly not as many as he's been getting. 35 snaps, where you only give 24 to Mason Curtis. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Rod Moore got a bunch of snaps. Zeke Berry got a bunch of snaps, but Hillman continues to, as his play has gone down and down and down, the more snaps that he's got. You've got Zeke Berry kind of returning for his second game. Real bad game tackling. Jimmy Rolder is showing that he kind of lacks the athleticism against high-end Big Ten teams to really fill the gap of Jayshon Barham moving down to the defensive end position. And of course, Brandyn Hillman. So you've got plenty of players for this Michigan football team who are just not making tackles. Guys, we are going to do a Michigan football audience mailbag. I want to make sure it's people who watch today's show. So if you made it this far, we're probably, 12, 15 minutes in the video, Jack? Use hashtag Michigan. I'll prioritize questions from this video. You've got to use hashtag Michigan so Jack and I can just do a search through the comments. Hashtag Michigan. Give me your question. We're going to put that on a show probably on Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Love to get a question from you to answer on that show. Overreaction number 5 is Michigan special teams have just stunk, other than Dominic Dzvada, who himself has not had the best year compared to himself last year, but overall a pretty decent year. They have been awful this season. Their punting is absolutely terrible, right? Michigan's playing the ball like sometimes 26, 28 yards. It's one of the worst punting teams in all of college football. They're not getting much of a return on kickoff returns. And frankly, whether it's required by J.B. Brown, right, who was an analyst for Michigan in the Harbaugh years 21 through 23, got the job as defensive coordinator, which I don't think he was, qualified for under Sherrone Moore last season. The guy's only 36 years old, so got the job as, came to Michigan in his early 30s as an analyst for 3 years, gets the job as special teams coordinator, not a position coach. And the special teams has been pretty bad for the last 2 seasons. Tommy Doman transferred to Florida. You've got the punter, what's his name, Hallenbach or whatever, and he just seems to disappoint Michigan in punting nearly every single time. Samaj Morgan does not return, whether it's J.B. Brown's initiative or Samaj is just afraid of fumbling. He fair catches it every single time. So there's no threat in Michigan ever making a play on special teams. And I don't know if 1/3 of the football team, right? Offense is a third, defense is a third, special teams maybe a third, maybe not completely, but that's what people say from time to time. If it's average or just exist, right? You might get a few field goals from Zavada, but other than that, you're just existing. I'm not sure if that's the championship pedigree, the championship recipe that Michigan needs to win out and go to the college football playoff. It all starts Saturday with Washington. It's a big noon game, I believe, right, Jack? What's the takeaway there? Take a look at the schedule for me. I'm pretty sure it's big noon, as I've just been kind of delirious since it is. Yeah, big noon on Saturday. Will Michigan beat Washington this Saturday? Could be a pivotal game for both head coaches. Sherrone Moore, if he drops a second straight game, second year in a row, they dropped to 4-3. Jedd Fisch, could he be auditioning at the Big House? Former Michigan passing game coordinator could be auditioning for his next head coaching job. We'll find out. We'll be back with a bunch of content this week. Till we see you guys next time. Go Blue.